Hey y'all, today we'll be talking about Fuji's X-H1. Big deal. Looks like the styling has been taken from the GFX 50S. I think that's fantastic with that big LCD. I think that kind of starts to tie both of those lines together really nicely. Before I go too much further, I want to make sure that y'all know that I do not have this camera. I don't have hands-on time with this camera. These are just my thoughts and opinions, so that's all it is. I appreciate your forbearance on those subjects. Let's get into it. So the X-H1 is going to be notable for a few particular reasons. As far as mirrorless options go, it will have it is a little bit unique in that it has a small, medium, and large recording option for both RAW and JPEG, right? It's got IBIS, first for a Fuji camera, supposed to be pretty good. ISO range 200 to 12,800 native. Pretty standard for a Fuji camera. In terms of continuous shooting, it's got 14 frames a second with the electronic shutter for 23 RAW uncompressed, 27 RAW compressed, and 40 JPEG, there we go. With the mechanical shutter, it's going to be 11 frames a second with your JPEG at 70, lossless compressed at 28, and compressed at 24 frames a second. When you take it down to 5 frames a second, you get basically unlimited JPEGs. You get 37 RAW compressed and 29 RAW uncompressed. So there's a couple of options there between mechanical and electronic shutter. I think that most people most of the time won't need a huge buffer depth at a higher frame rate. And that frame rate is still on par with Fuji's X-T2, it looks like, in their X-E3 as well. So it's not a huge change, it's not a huge upgrade, but what is a huge upgrade is going to be that IBIS, it's going to be video, and perhaps body design, but we can get to that in a second. Video next. You get DCI 4K, 17:9, 200 megabits a second, that's a big deal. There aren't any other options in that price range, in that sensor format, doing DCI 4K at 200 megabits a second. And you can take that down to 50 megabits a second too. It doesn't have to be 200. You get UHD 4K at 200 megabits a second, also down to 50. So you get 200, 150, great options. The max recording length on your 200 megabits a second DCI and UHD 4K, and that might even be with those lesser bit rates as well, is only 15 minutes. Now, you can record as much as your card can hold, but only in 15-minute increments. For most shooters, I don't think that'll be a problem. Most shooters are hobbyists, not professionals, so I don't think that'll be a problem. If it is for you, reevaluate why you're using Fuji to shoot video. With full HD, as in 2048 by 1080, so that's closer to 2K than it is 1080p. What you're going to be getting is up to 60 frames a second at up to 100 megabits per second for 20 minutes. You get normal 1080p. You get normal 1080p 1920 by 1080 at 100 megabits a second as well, up to 60p. And then you get high frame rate options up to 120p at 100 megabits a second and 200 megabits a second. Having shot a fair amount with my Sony alpha-6300 at 100 megabits a second at its 120p mode, I think the 200 is going to be key. With the battery grip, you can extend the duration of filming for all of these options that are a little compressed to the full 30-minute, well, 29:59 mark, right? You also get F-Log built in. Now, you don't have to buy the grip to be able to use F-Log. Additionally, the Fuji film simulation Eterna is included in this body, so that's another big win. You're going to get about 310 shots per battery. You're going to get about 30 minutes at 4K, about 45 minutes for full HD record time. That's pretty standard for these smaller mirrorless cameras with the APS-C size sensors, so I don't think that should be news of any description. You'll likely be able to get a little bit more battery time out of this than what the specs are saying, just because on my Sony I've been able to get much better battery life than what the specs say on that. So that's good news. One of the other critical components to this camera is that it is a tilty flippy touchscreen that you get 3-inch. Your viewfinder, pardon me, is not going to be, you know, GH5, GH5S levels of uber quality. It is going to be a fairly standard viewfinder, electronic viewfinder. So I love those. I don't think that not being uber wonderful means that I can't use it. But I think that the tilty flippy means that I definitely can use it. So that's a big win, although I am personally a little bit of a mixed bag on that because loads of users will want that. Fuji's saying they've got an improved AF algorithm. They're saying that it's a particularly robust housing, splash proof, dust proof, cold proof down to -10 Celsius. So for those of you stateside and or who use imperial units, estimating, because I also use Celsius despite living here in the US, I'm going to say that's probably between 15 and 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's a good thing. -10 C is very cold. That is what I know for sure. So you will be able to use it for big temperature range. It's going to be coming in at $1,900, and I think that Fuji could not have made a better camera for $1,900. I don't know if that includes the battery grip. It probably doesn't. But what this does do is say, we know who we are. We're going to keep pursuing who we know we are, which is down this path of GFX design and styling. It's very high-end features and functionality in all of the cameras. It's continuous improvement. This is a camera that without Kaizen firmware updates will probably be superb. This is a camera too that says we are more than ever an option for professionals. The X-T2, great camera. Got the little thumbstick. X-H1 has a little thumbstick. I think that's a fantastic professional feature. But for real shooters, for people that depend on this sort of thing, I think the X-H1, not that hobbyists aren't real shooters. I'm a hobbyist. I'm a real shooter. I hope you understand that I'm not trying to offend anybody. People who depend on these for their living, I think will now find in the X-H1 that this is a more capable, more versatile option than ever. I think what you're going to be finding is that Fuji is planting its flag in the ground and saying, we're going nowhere. We're going to keep up with the market. We're going to try to give more value than other partners in the market at the same sensor size, we're going to give more value per dollar within our segment, basically. And that's absolutely what they're doing with the X-H1. And I'm really excited about that because Fuji is a fantastic camera company. They do fantastic lenses, fantastic camera bodies. I think that they're worth serious thought if you're looking to change systems. If you aren't, it might be worth it anyway, just because Fuji does things very well, and APS-C sensors are very capable these days. So I am looking forward to having more and further thoughts about the X-H1 when we all know more, but for now, that's about it. So thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the Amazon affiliate links down below. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.